Mm-hmm. So it should be going, if you've gone live, does it show a green button that you're live? Oh yeah, no, that's 6 days ago.
Can you see in
Let me check Facebook. Did it say it went live on one stream?
on one stream? Where do you see? Sorry, where do you see that?
So we actually are live in the Facebook group. So at the bottom is the go live button green.
It is, yes.
So yeah, so just be aware we are already streaming into the group. So that's awesome. So
Okay,
just
fantastic. I will just copy my YouTube link and send it to Duncan, and then we'll be ready to go. Okay, ready to start.
Perfect.
Okay. I'll meet everybody. Good morning, everyone. If you can just confirm that you can hear me correctly, I'll just wait for Duncan to. There's Duncan. I'll just pass on the reins. Hi, good morning. Good morning, Duncan. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, everybody.
Duncan, you are now co-host, and I sent you the link.
I've got it.
You got the link. Fantastic.
On it.
Okay. Now, where
Hope everyone's well today.
Nice
to see you all from my summer house holiday home for the week.
Okay.
I just can't give up. I need to be here.
That's appreciated, Duncan. And it's nice to see the background as well. I feel like it's freezing. It's freezing here in London, so it's nice. It's nice to see a tropical background.
I know.
Okay. Goodbye, everyone, and welcome to the Crypto Hour. I know I can see a few new faces today, so just want to make sure that you know what's going on and what to expect. So first of all, we'll go through a few items of news that I think are important to pay some attention to. And then we'll be opening the room up to question and answers, so we can get you know, your questions answered, because obviously, you know, we're all at different levels in our experience with crypto, so it is important to answer the questions for where you are right now, so that you can improve, you know, and at the end of this hour, you know a little bit more than you knew at the beginning of the hour, possibly. And that's the goal. If I've done that for many of you, then I would have succeeded in using my time effectively. So there's a couple of big subjects that I would like to talk to you about today. First of all, a bit talking about Bitcoin, so to say about something new to everybody. Okay. So there's two things that it's interesting to look at. Obviously, you might have listened to the news, and there's, you know, a couple of the news about Bitcoin is you know, El Salvador bought some new Bitcoins during the dip, and also MicroStrategy with Michael Saylor bought an extra 400 million of Bitcoin, as he keeps doing anytime he can raise any money. So his company basically is started like a small kind of a medium-sized software company, and now is become a huge owner of you know, of Bitcoin, and owns several $1 billion worth of you know, of Bitcoin. And now this is kind of like on the news side, but
You just muted yourself, Luca.
did I? How did I do that?
No, you're back.
I don't know how I managed to do that because I'm trying to do two things at once. I should let Duncan deal with that. But as I see people coming into the room, it's kind of like it's automatically try to admit them. Okay, and what I was saying is one of the important thing about Bitcoin is the what is known as the hash rate, which is actually the amount of computers that are supporting the Bitcoin network. From the people what you know as the miners, and that rate went down dramatically, about 50%, when a few months ago when China banned Bitcoin. Okay, so what happened, practically speaking, is that the network was a little bit less secure. But what happens as well is that because there are less computers on the network, it's in a percentage term became the miners were making more money because there were less of them working to produce new blocks. So it was kind of like an incentive for people to get back in, and put their system to work in supporting Bitcoin and trying to produce blocks. Okay, so the hash power on Bitcoin is what is known as the total of all the computers that are working, and competing to produce the new blocks. And we have now gone back to the levels that we had before, before China banned Bitcoin. So let's say all the computing power now has been redeployed in other parts of the world. And in a way, what sometimes, and this is kind of like quite common in cryptocurrency, that sometimes what is seen as a problem for somebody else is an opportunity. So, it looked like doom and gloom when China banned Bitcoin earlier on, but in the end, what is now the result of it a few months down the line is that now the Bitcoin mining power is more evenly distributed across the world. It's not just where before. It's just one of the biggest criticism for Bitcoin was that most of the mining power was in China. Now it's more spread out, around the world. It's more decentralized. It's a word that they will hear again and again and again in crypto. Okay, so power to the many rather than to the few. So, and not just that, but so Bitcoin mining has been very, very profitable for mining companies, and that's why we have seen many companies go onto the stock market in the US and Canada, and they are basically a Bitcoin farm. Okay, the result of this, first of all, for a lot of capital coming into Bitcoin this year, in the terms of people that are investing in these projects from the stock market, has meant that all these projects don't have to sell the Bitcoin to finance their operation. Okay, and what does that mean to you and me? It means that obviously the Bitcoins that are being produced by the miners historically have found their way onto the market, because there are basically Bitcoin as a inflation at the moment of about 1.5% a year. So those are kind of the new Bitcoins that are being produced every day. Every 10 minutes, there's some, whenever a block is produced, then some Bitcoins are being given as a reward to the miners. Okay, so generally mining companies that have tens of thousands of computers mining Bitcoin will have to reinvest, kind of sell the Bitcoins on the market, and then use the money to pay for the electricity costs, for buying new computers, and so on. Okay, but what happened this year, because these companies have been able to raise capital on the stock market, it means that they can use that money to pay for the costs, and they don't need to sell their Bitcoins. So the result has been that the amount of Bitcoin available on the open market has really shrunk. So there aren't that many Bitcoins available, and it's been a really, really low level. And the other kind of a metric that we can measure on the blockchain is that, how old, in a way, when is the last time that Bitcoin was used before it's used now? So we can measure that length of time. And we can see kind of like the old coins are not being spent. They're just being hoarded. and kept offline, not even on the exchanges. So people, they are keeping them and holding them for the long time. Okay, so and you can imagine, in whatever you are buying or selling, there's always like supply and demand. And if the supply is shrinking and the demand is growing, I mean, you tell me what happens to the price. Okay, some way it's a kind of like a forced market at the moment. And within this narrative is the second bit of news that I want to talk to you about Bitcoin. You've heard about Bitcoin ETFs, okay, which are exchange traded funds. These are basically, they are funds. They are quoted on the stock market, and you can buy and sell, like you would buy any shares on the stock market. Okay, and the big innovation about this and the importance of that is that they have allowed many institutions to take part in buying and trading in crypto that they couldn't have done before, because there are certain rules governing what pension funds and what investment funds can and cannot do. And sometimes they are limited of operating on certain markets. So the moment that something is on the stock market is then an investment that's open to them that it wasn't before. But what's happening so far is that in the US market, there are now several Bitcoin ETFs that are coming to the market in the past couple of months. But all the BTFs that have been approved are future ETFs. Okay, so there are the funds that buy and sell futures. So they're a derivative product. They're not the real thing. And at the moment, the SEC, which is the regulator in the US, has refused to approve any spot ETF. A spot ETF is basically a fund that would physically buy Bitcoins on the market, for investors. Simple as that. And obviously, if there was such a fund, that will have a direct impact on price, because this fund will need to go into, the places where Bitcoins are. We're going to go into Binance, we'll need to go into Kraken, into Coinbase, and buy these Bitcoins on the open market. Okay. And so there has been a reluctance of the US to approve these funds. And there is actually, at the moment, Grayscale is suing the SEC because they think it's not, they're going beyond their powers by approving a futures ETF and not a spot ETF. But at the same time, Fidelity, which is one of the biggest fund managers in the world, has now sidestepped the whole problem by applying to Canada and not to the US to open a spot ETF. So Canada is a lot more open to this, and there is probably this spot ETF is going to be approved and given the go ahead, and within a few weeks we will see a spot ETF on the Canadian market. Okay, and as I was telling you before, this goes into the low supply of Bitcoin on the market already. The spot ETF and similar products have already, in Canada, have already raised hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars of investment. And so what effect that will have on the market? Well, we can only guess at the moment, but the effect will be to reduce even more the available supply of Bitcoin, and cause the price to have an upward trajectory. Okay, because again, there's the only thing, I'm not kind of making price predictions right now, but I'm just talking about supply and demand, and this will cause the demand to go up, because again, talking about pension funds, institutions that will buy some. Obviously, they won't put all their money in Bitcoin, but they will put some money in Bitcoin, because many institutions actually have got a mandate from the investors to invest in cryptocurrencies. They just haven't been able to do it because of regulatory problems so far. So they have to, not because they want to, but because they have to, as an instructions that they have from their members. Okay, so this is all happening. Timelines and everything is still uncertain, but the direction of travel is not. Okay, so this is where now we are now going into the mainstream. All right, so it's not just little people like us, individual investors that are investing in these things, but we are talking about nation states. We're talking about pension funds, investment funds. They are getting into this heavily. Obviously, investment with nimble feet, like hedge funds, are already heavily into it. Okay, and they've been buying Bitcoin, all the Bitcoin they can get their hands on. You know, at the moment, the Bitcoin that are being sold and that are appearing on the market are being bought mostly by PayPal and Square. Okay, which are you know, very two big payment infrastructures. Okay, and this leads us on to the second part of the things I wanted to talk to you about, you know, which is online payments. Okay, this week we've had the announcement from Square that has announced kind of like a merger between what Square runs, or also other apps, like the most well-known is Cash App, for example, and they're merging all the different operations and rebranding as Block. Okay, just this is to show how much they are investing into blockchain technology, and this is the directions that they want to be seen as the provider of kind of like economic enlightenment and accessibility across the world. So they are really rebranding heavily in that direction. But on top of that, another kind of like really important minor bit of news that not many people would have seen is that what you might have realized if you try to buy things on Amazon in the UK, and I know there are people from all over the world here, but in the UK in particular, Amazon has stopped accepting Visa cards as a form of payment. Okay, and I think, you know, why is that? The reason being is that Visa card has raised the cost that it charges both, you know, online and offline retailers for processing payments. They have cited kind of like that this is due to Brexit, that the cost of the transactions have gone from 0.3% to 1.5%. So it is significant. It's not something that you would be aware of generally because, you know, it's built into the price. Okay, so obviously you don't pay anything when you buy something in the shops with your credit card in terms of, you know, extra fees, you know, but obviously the retailer is. So the retailer will have to recharge that onto the price, obviously, because it affects the bottom line. So in the end, we pay for it in one way or another. We're the ones who pay for it. Okay, so Amazon is making the point. I think actually with the increased number of transactions and all the extra money that you are making, prices should be coming down instead of coming up to be able to give to enable, you know, the retailer to give shoppers a better experience. Okay, but this is not what is happening. In the end, we got into a system, and I know, you know, I don't know if Mark is on the call today, Mark Robinson, but he's done a fantastic Bankless series that you can watch. But you know what is happening, that we created a system where we're given two private companies, maybe three if you consider American Express, but it's Visa and MasterCard basically basically we are giving Visa and MasterCard about 2% of any transactions that we pay for using our credit cards. And it's almost kind of like, I mean, you tell me what it is, but it's almost like a license to print money, you know, and nobody has given any kind of like a monopoly license to these companies, but this is what it is. I mean, let's talk clearly. It is a monopoly, and when we get into a situation when you get a company that is actually quoted, it's sued for enabling terrorism, for money laundering, and all they can do is just to get out of it, just pay a few billion, you know, to actually agree something out of court. And this is what's happening, and then they carry on the merry way. Is this the way that we want to go about giving somebody that power to do whatever they want without any supervision, or is there a better way? So in a way, I mean, we're not saying that Amazon will change the way that they accept payments anytime soon. Okay, but it could be the first indication that they will look elsewhere for processing payments online. So what are the options? And there are two big payment networks that are already being very successful on the crypto to fiat transition, and they already do you know, what many people want to do with their cryptocurrency, which is, you know, go into a shop and just pay for the things that you buy with your crypto rather than using cash. And these payment solutions actually allow you to pay with whatever you want and allow the retailer to receive whatever he wants. So it doesn't really make any difference to the retailer because they receive whatever they want to receive. So they can receive, I don't know, dollars if they are in the US, pounds if they are in the UK, whatever. But the person that is paying pays with their preferred form of payment, you know, which would be crypto in this case. Okay, so the two major payment providers in the point of sale payment providers are Coty and Alchemy Pay. Okay, now you must have heard about Ripple and Stellar. Those are kind of institutional grade solutions for people that want to do cross-border excuse me, cross-border payments. But the real revolution is what providers like Coty and Alchemy Pay are providing. So let me just have a drop of water. Because the difference is that when you actually go and pay for something in the store, okay, could you please make sure that you muted? I don't know who that was, but we are on Zoom, so please make sure that you mute your microphone.
My bad,
okay?
my bad, bro. My bad, bro.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so what I was saying, the real revolution is going to come from point of sale, because at the end of the day is, you know, when you are in a restaurant, where you are in a shop, you know, you want to have that option of pay with crypto. So you'll soon have how would you like to pay, sir? You know, cash, card, or crypto? And that's the point that we will get to. The real end game is whenever we will be able to go to a shop and pay directly with crypto, so that the retailer gets crypto in their wallet, and then we won't have to have any intermediary. Then we can do it directly. But at the moment, we still need to use a form of intermediary. And what Coty and Alchemy Pay are doing are really active in this field. Alchemy Pay already has. Please, can you mute your microphone? Could you please?
I got a Cambodian CEO in the back doing the whipping anyway. You got a hula hoop in my face, nigga. You ugly shit, bitch. You cannot pass. You ugly son. Like I want blizzard shit. You're stupid.
Could you please mute your microphone? Whoever this is.
Luca, you have the option to mute all as an administrator, or if Duncan's a sub-administrator, he has the option to quickly mute all.
I can't see this. Can I suggest I will kind of remove. I just had to remove somebody.
Yeah, there's quite a few people who, Paulina's not muted. Duncan, you can do it yourself, but generally best for the administrator to just keep checking on that, or your co-pilot.
Okay. Do you know the button actually to mute everybody? So I can do it. I can do it now. I'm not quite sure. Not something that I had to do before.
Yeah, sorry, my microphone's playing up as well. Guys, don't worry, I'm on it. Carry on, Luca. I'm having to kick a couple of people out of the room because they keep jumping back in and out, and I don't know if they're playing games, but please carry on, and don't worry, I am on it. Hopefully it won't happen again.
Okay, so what I was saying.
Okay, so just to be clear, Luca, if I mute all, then obviously you're going to have to unmute yourself. So
Okay.
if you can't handle muting yourself, guys, just take yourself out of the room, or I'll take you out.
Okay, there's
bad,
somebody
G.
obviously is trying to be funny. Is trying to be funny.
Yeah. They're going to
Okay.
get blocked.
I'll stay
All right.
muted. I got you.
Okay, good. Okay, so Duncan, I don't know if you can remove. Can you please remove?
Well, I am attempting to, but they're being such gits. It's quite hard to mute them and get them out really, really quickly. So if you could just give me 30 seconds, I'm just trying to keep an eye on the people who keep unmuting them and get them out the room. I think we're all right now for a moment. Sorry about this to all viewers. We've never had issues like this before. These guys are definitely leaving the room. All right, back to only friendly faces, I hope.
Okay, we hope so. Do you think we can carry on?
Let's continue. I think the 3 accounts that were causing the trouble are now out of the room. So apologies to everybody, and I'll do my best from here on in.
Can we make sure that we don't allow anybody else in now at the moment? So we're already halfway through.
Hey,
so
hey, Mary Wilson, can you not call them idiots? That's like highly offensive to me.
I'm just. What's this guy doing?
okay, can we please now stop at the moment? Okay, until we start opening the mic for questions. And can you please now stop this? Okay. Can you keep your microphone muted, and then in a few
Yes,
minutes
sir.
we'll take.
Yes, sir.
We'll take the
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. So I was talking about payment solutions, in particular Coty and Ultimate Pay, and what something like Coty allows corporations to do. It allows them to completely design their own payment solution. So to accept anything between crypto, cash, cards, and even their own native coin if they have created one. So you could create kind of like even like reward points and things like this, and then allow people to spend them as part of the payment solution. So you can see how this is progressing, and this may be what we will start seeing very soon. Whenever we first of all we'll see online, and then we'll see in shops and in restaurants. I mean, every day on the news you hear new retailers that are accepting different forms of payments. The ones that accept even Doge and Shiba Inu and so on. So all your cryptos will be more and more available directly at the point of sale. And if not available directly, you will be able to use like a point of sale solution, like the two that I just mentioned, to log into your account and use your crypto, and then your crypto gets sold for the local currency, and then the retailer receives the local currency. Now, in a minute we'll start taking questions. But I have I've prepared the newsletter. You can see here as part of my collaboration with the International Academy of Wealth. And if anybody would like to join the free Facebook group, then they can receive this newsletter for free. So make sure that I'll drop the link to the page in the chat. And if you register, and obviously make sure that you put your email address when you register, and they'll send you the newsletter. Okay, that's the link, so you can do it in your own good time. Now, another thing, another project that just briefly before we start taking questions, I wanted to talk about, and it's also one of the layer 2 solutions on Ethereum, which is Polygon. Obviously, all which are rebranded this year from Matic. Their ticker is still Matic, but it is very interesting because at the moment there are many different layer 2 solutions to Ethereum. When I'm talking about layer 2 solutions, it means that as you know, the Ethereum blockchain is very congested at the moment, and fees to do absolutely anything on Ethereum are extraordinarily expensive. Many users have taken into using different chains to make their transactions where it is a lot cheaper, and then those transactions are batched together and recorded on the main Ethereum chain. So the result to you is that you spend a lot less to have transactions on these layer 2 solutions that you would do on Ethereum. Now there are many of those many solutions. You may know, and you might have tokens in some of them, like Polygon is one of them, Avalanche is another, Phantom, Harmony One. There's many different ones. Also Binance Smart Chain is a fork of Ethereum, so you can use your you can have transactions on there as well. Now, a lot of these chains have actually gained their popularity because of cost, speed of transaction and cost. Okay, but then within these chains, some of them have been more active than others in then having their networks usable by decentralized application providers. And this is where Polygon really has been, in a way, the market leader in that, because they've been very active in connecting with different apps, and now are looking at not just being available on Ethereum. Obviously, Ethereum will still be the most desirable place to be, but they're also looking at different chains because they realize that the users are actually moving somewhere else. So if you look at, especially with decentralized finance, you see now many decentralized finance apps, they are present on they're present on different blockchains. Okay, they're not just on Ethereum anymore, but they'll be on Ethereum or Polygon or on so many others. Okay, so it's their investment in the ecosystem, I think, will pay off now and in the near future, because they bring in basically more users into their chain. They also have, of the layer 2 solutions, are the ones that have invested more heavily into what is called ZK rollups, zero knowledge rollups, which are probably the most exciting technology for scaling Ethereum that there is, and they are going to be ready to take advantage of of that technology. So keep a good eye on Polygon, because sometimes price doesn't necessarily reflect what is going on behind the scenes, the work that is going on in blockchains. Because even when we were in the bear market, and price were very low down, obviously, what do you think was happening at the developer level in Ethereum, in Cardano, in Polygon? They were still going to work every day. They were still programming, producing code, and planning they offering, the infrastructure that they're offering, and that is coming to fruition now. So all the work that is going on right now will pay off, a few weeks, months, or years down the line. So we need to pay a lot of attention on the work is going on, apart from just the price and saying this is going up or that is going down. This is not really the right way of assessing projects, but we need to look a little bit deeper. Okay, so this is my kind of a little tip for today. Spend some time looking at Polygon, how to get involved, how to use it instead of Ethereum, and the projects that are on Polygon as well, because it's a really good ecosystem that will, I think will do very well in the near future. Okay, now let's open the room up, because I could carry on talking for ages, but I would like people to ask a few questions, because sometimes what's important to me might not be important to you. Duncan, if you would like
Absolutely,
to,
yeah. I have been keeping my eye on the chat, and we don't have many questions yet. So there's one thing we would like you to ask to just quickly recap the payment solutions that you were talking about. Can you just give us those names again, because we were a little bit.
Can you overdose on Viagra? That's a real question, though.
Where's this guy?
Like, I'm just.
So yeah, can you recap on those payment solutions, and I'll remove these guys who've been hiding all the way through your delivery.
sorry, I
So was it
mistyped.
Coty and Alchemy
Sorry,
Pay?
I missed that. It's Coty. Sorry, I mistyped. It's Coty and Alchemy Pay.
And
Oh, what is it?
let's have your questions. And please, did you mean Polygon and Matic? I think you were talking about Polygon, weren't you, Luca?
Yeah, lately it's Polygon, but this is the payment service. I don't know why it keeps changing my. Okay, Coty, COTI. Okay, and Coty is working very closely with Cardano, for example, and they're even, between other things, they're also producing the first algorithmic stablecoin for Cardano called DJED. And instead, sorry, I sent the message, but I only sent it to some people, not to everybody. Coty is working very closely with Cardano. And what Alchemy Pay instead are working with a number of providers like Binance, for example. You might have heard of them, and Gemini, and I think UOB as well. So they're kind of like a project that's well supported by the community to resolve the problem of fiat on and off ramp. Okay, so how to bring your money into crypto and how to take it out of crypto. Okay, so that's what they are. That's what they are doing. So they're two very, very strong projects, slightly different focus. Coty is a little bit more on the enterprise level, put it that way, where Alchemy Pay is more on the proper point of sale level. So it works a lot with retailers, restaurants, and so on. Okay.
So yeah, please do get your questions in. I think Tim had a question. So Tim, if you prefer to just unmute yourself and speak away, then you're welcome to do that. Or if you do have a question, please pop it into the chat. Jaya asks that Coinbase now also offers a Visa card. Is it worthwhile using for payment in the UK? Are there advantages? I think you do get some kind of rewards in crypto with that. Anything you know about, Luca?
I don't know about the Coinbase Visa card. I know that a lot of I've tried applying for a few crypto cards. They're very difficult to get hold of. You might get, best you get on the waiting list, and then maybe in a couple of years' time you might get one. And so I don't know about Coinbase, to be honest with you. I don't know, but they all do the same thing basically. So they allow you to you put money, you put crypto onto your card, and then at the point of sale you get exchanged for it gets exchanged for the local currency. Now, the question is, for all these solutions, is that what are the fees? Okay, because some of the fees that these cards charge are astronomical. I was just looking at one yesterday, and it looked like they got a really nice app. You know, when I went to look into the fees, they would say, well, yeah, whenever you pay for anything, you pay 5% to exchange from crypto to cash. And you go, well, that's crazy. That's crazy. When you think about paying just 5% for a transaction, then why should I do that? Might as well use my cash or credit cards. There will be many options now. They become more and more available, where you can go and have a Bitcoin ATM machines where you can take cash out with your coins. Again, I don't know what the fees are connected to that, but this is the thing that you really need to look at, because ease of use comes with a price normally, and the solutions are slowly being developed where the cost can be at the same level or lower than the credit cards, but not quite there yet.
So a question from Tim. Tim, you're a new face, and we've had a few new faces today, so please do keep it clean. Do you have a question about crypto?
Fuck you.
Okay.
Oh, that's really
This
good.
is like
Really,
being one of
some
those,
really, yeah. No, there's some really clever people that come onto the stream. It's really fun, isn't it? Okay. Anybody else has got some real questions?
This is turning out like one of those, you know, LBC radio shows, isn't it? You really have to be careful. So anybody got any decent questions for Luca, or should we just let Luca give us the benefit of his knowledge that we're all here to get today without screwing it all up for everybody else?
So, that's okay. And a real crypto question.
Sure,
Okay,
and Stan has a
Paulina.
question as well, but I'll come back to you, Stan. And as you're unmuted, Paulina, yeah, please, let's have it.
Yeah, awesome. Luca, you know, we are looking at like all these promises, like all the news and everything is sharing with us that, you know, it's looking promising for Bitcoin going up. How does that fare with like the whole idea of, you know, us coming to a market crash or a crypto crash in the new year? Like, you know, obviously everything indicates that Bitcoin's going to go on stronger. So will there be a crash, or is there going to be just a blip in the market like all the other ups and downs? Obviously, no advice, just your opinion.
Yeah. Okay. There's two things I wanted to mention. You know, first of all is, you know, that the way that we're saying this is going to happen in 6 months or a year, whatever, it's always based on past experience. So the reason why somebody says that, because this has happened in the past and it kind of happens every 3 years or every 4 years and so on. So it is time exactly for that moment. You know, the reality is that this is a kind of a changing animal. So you know, you can really much predict really well by using technical analysis, for example. You know, markets that have been around for tens of decades, because then the history has got a sense, because it's the same product that's been around for years and years and years, and there are certain patterns that you can follow. Okay. Now, when you look at crypto, you're looking at something that is changing every week, every month. So whatever is going on, you know, it's, and the kind of like, it's in 2021, there's been a really huge difference in the way that crypto is seen and used, because before that, really, there were very, very few, but generally there were no practical cases for crypto. So it was mainly speculation, and it was kind of like proof of concept. So we are kind of like proving the point for you know, for something to say, yes, this thing actually works. Okay, but in reality, the price movement went down to speculation. What happened in 2021 is that we have started having the first consumer use of crypto products. Okay, this is what you knew what NFTs are. This is what gaming is, because people now are starting to play games on the blockchain, and this is what DeFi is. Okay, because people are started taking money away from the banking, putting it into DeFi projects where they can get higher returns and use it that way. So this is a consumer product, so people are using it every day. It's not just, you know, I'm buying something for and wait and hoping that the price goes up, but it is something that they are actually using as, you know, in comparison to the normal financial system, as an alternative to it. Okay, so the answer is we are looking at something that is different from what we were looking at 12 months ago. So being, you know, judging, saying what will happen compared, you know, by using past experiences, for me, is not a way that I like to look at things. I like to look at fundamental reasons. But, you know, if you're saying we might have a market crash, that's a different question, because then, you know, if we had something like, you know, we experienced it last year in March when there was a pandemic and everything went down. So absolutely any asset that you could think of went down in price. So it was not just about crypto is going down, but everything is going down at the same time. Now, generally, what the market does is whenever there's what people do during a period of high uncertainty, they go to what they see as the safest asset. And traditionally, the safest, you know, people go back to the US dollar generally when they run in for the hills, basically. Okay, so if there is a market crash in stocks, it will affect crypto as well, and it will affect any other assets that you own. Okay, so the other important thing that is important to understand is inflation. Okay, so and that's something when I talk to people, sometimes not many people understand what inflation is. They just think that inflation is that the prices go up in things that they buy, but they don't understand, where it actually comes from. And, and some people make it misunderstand what the measure of inflation is with inflation itself. So you measure inflation by taking a basket of goods and seeing how the prices in that basket change over time. Okay, that's a measure of inflation. What inflation really is inflation in the money supply. So there is, I don't know, $1 trillion today. Tomorrow there's 1.2 trillion. There has been a 20% inflation. Simple as that. And the thing to understand is that the basket of goods that is used to measure inflation is manipulated. Okay, and I know I'm Italian, and I know that if you look at the Italian basket of goods to measure inflation, there are things in there that you can never find in the shops. So how good is that to measure inflation if you're using things that people are not using? In the US, for example, they measure inflation without counting food and without counting energy. So yeah, I mean, if you say, well, the prices are quite stable, if you don't consider that food has gone up a lot and anything that you use to keep yourself warm has gone up a lot. So those are the things that you use every day. How can you take that out of the equation? Okay, in reality, if we're talking about the US, over the past 10 years, inflation has been at an average of 14%. Okay, these are data. You can check it. You can check it online. You don't have to trust me. Go and Google it. And this is inflation in the money supply. And in the end, when you think about money is something that is used for exchanging value, okay, which makes it easier. So, if you want to buy chickens and you want, everything you have is a horse, and obviously in a barter economy, you have to exchange a horse for the chickens for a number of chickens, but it's much easier to take cash and then use the cash to buy whatever you want, okay? But the thing is that the problem with that is that now that we lost the relationship to the money, we're not in control of how money is generated, how it's created. What it has turned out to be, it's just simply a hidden tax. Because if you have, let's say, a basket of goods and all the money in the economy, for example, let's say is $10, then there's only a maximum of $10 that anything can be priced, and there is only so much money in the economy to buy those goods. If all of a sudden you introduce from outside an extra $10, now there are $20 in the economy to buy the same goods. So obviously there is going to be more demand for the same products. The price of the products will go up. So sorry about the long answer, but when we're talking about economy, we can't just look at things into isolation. We need to look at different aspects. And the underlying narrative has been inflation, and especially since 2008, when governments have really ramped up the amount of currency that they printed, people have started realizing that having currency doesn't hold value over time. And so and within this narrative, we have the emergence of cryptocurrencies because originally they were thought of to give a better financial system that we could rely on. Because if you have value in the form of money, you want that value to keep to be able to buy the same things in 2 years' time as you can now. Okay, and at the moment with money you can't. Money is not a store of value anymore. Okay, so this is why cryptocurrency has gone up in time and in interest, because it is seen a way that can hold value over time. Okay, so this is what I want to talk to you about. It could go down, it could go up, because it's a new technology, and new technology are highly volatile. So at any time we could go down 50-60%, and we've already seen it this year. But long term, if you compare something that is fixed against something that grows over time, just you tell me which way it can go. You know, talking about in particular about Bitcoin, not all coins are equal, but talking about coins, they have a limited supply. And I say the demand is fixed, sorry, the supply is fixed and the demand is variable. So this is, I'll leave the rest to you. Okay, other questions?
Great answer to a great question. We have got a bit of time for more questions. Stan would like to know, and I suspect other people would too, about trading bots. And is the idea of making money in your sleep a realistic one? What would you like to tell us about that?
This is very specialized subject. And again, we're going into trading here. So statistics in trading worldwide are the 1.5% of traders are profitable out of 100%. 95% of people lose money, 3.5% break even, and 1.5% are profitable. So bots is an automated way of trading. So it really depends very much by who programs the bot. Okay, so that's the question to answer. They can be profitable, but you can see it is very difficult to be profitable in trading. Now, there are ways, and you know, we can personally, if you want, I can talk you about a few things where you can do that, but it's something that I wouldn't recommend to everybody. Okay, because you really need to, unless you are a profitable trader, it's difficult to do it yourself, and you really need to know somebody that knows what they're doing. If you do that, and there are ways that you can do that, but this is not really the place where to talk about those things. Then it can be profitable, but you have to be very careful. And I think with any investment decision that you make, and one thing that I would like, if I can, a little bit of advice, it is very important that you understand how to do due diligence. Okay, because any decision that you make in investment has a risk involved. So generally, how to be successful in an investment is how to value those risks. And if you manage to understand that, then whatever investment decisions you make, you know, you will have a better chance of being successful than not. But first of all, you need to understand the risks involved, and sometimes, you know, in trading there are several risks that are not obvious to the naked eye, and that we really need to dig in deep and go into the different platforms, the different traders, and see what their strategies are. And really, you need to then assign a risk level to that particular strategy. You know, the bot is just a way of accelerating a particular strategy at the end of the day. Okay, so if the strategy is successful, and if it's very successful, then the bot can be extremely successful. If the strategy is unsuccessful, a bot can be a disaster at the same time, and it can drain your account in minutes. Okay, so that's the answer. So I'll say yes, it can be profitable. You need to be very, 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 very careful though. Okay.
Anybody would like to unmute themselves and ask any questions or pop anything into the chat? I think we've exhausted what was in there. Relatively few questions today, but I'll tell you what I've noticed. I don't know if people agree with me. The more in depth you get, Luca, and the longer time you spend talking, the more you blow our minds, and nobody's got any questions then. 2 or 3 people have said to me who had said, yeah, I'm ready, I've got a question, and they've now messaged me a private message saying, well, he's just answered it now. So so you're extremely intuitive as to what people want to know, if I can put it like that. I think there might be Paulina's agreeing with me, and I think that's how I feel as well. I mean, it's been an amazing call so far, and the stuff you've told us is literally mind-blowing. And usually I've got at least a couple of questions to fill a bit of time with, but even when I'm on holiday and I've got nothing else to think about, you've caught me completely off guard. Cornelia has her hand up. I think that's you, Cornelia. Is it iPad Gil? Maybe not.
Yeah,
but
yeah, that's me, Duncan and Luca. Thank you. Thank you for wonderful information. I wrote in the chat my question, and it wasn't answered yet, or I didn't pick it up. You mentioned this inflation of 14%. Could you tell me since what time you think if the real inflation rate is since like that? Is it like 2008 when the money printing started, or is much longer? Or where could I find an article on that percentage?
It's a money supply. So it's inflation on money supply in the US in the past 10 years.
Past 10 years. Thank you so much.
10 years, yeah. So basically, this is money that's been printed, and you can say, so, you know, if let's say, I'm saying the economy, if there is $1 trillion has been created in the economy, and next year there's $1.2 trillion, that's the 20% inflation in the money supply. So unless all of a sudden there are 20% more goods available to buy, then that will reflect into prices of time. Okay, and then certain things are more elastic than others. Okay, so certain things will react more readily to an increased money supply, and certain things less. I mean, if you look at property, for example, do you think why are property prices so much higher now than they were 15, 20 years ago? It's simply because now because of the money supply inflation, you know, and assets obviously hold their value over time, because at the end of the day, you know, it doesn't matter how much money you have, but you still need a house to live in today as you did 20 years ago. Now, the amount of money that you used to buy may be changing, but you still need a physical place to live on. So the demand is there. You know, doesn't you know, change over time. Actually, maybe, you know, is increased over time because there are more people in the world now than there were 20 years ago. But you know, the money that you pay to buy it changes, obviously, because now there is more available. When there is more available, then somebody might want to pay. You know, this is the thing. If you're interested in economics and you look into the Austrian School of Economics, that's part of their main concept, and saying that's why they're proponents of the gold standard, because, and in a gold standard, just to tell you the difference, is like our parents and grandparents. If they wanted to buy a car, they had to save first. There was no easy go into the thing, you know, buy today and pay tomorrow. That wasn't an option. You had to save first. Okay. What they are saying is that in a fiat world like we are in the moment, what that causes is a misallocation of resources. Okay. And this then over time, it compounds and compounds and compounds until then we get to a point where it's not sustainable anymore. And I think this is where we're heading.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to go too deep into economics, you know, in 5 minutes.
No, but just one more question: is this 14%? Is that already, has that taken into account compounding?
No, that's just I'm not sure. I'm not sure actually. This is a good question. Not quite sure about compounding, but I think it's just a main supply of currencies, so how much money is being printed and how much is available is circulating in the economy compared to the
okay. So we've only got a couple of minutes left, Luca.
Okay.
Sorry, Cornelia. Do you mind if I move on to another question? Because we've just got 2 minutes left, and I do want to include everybody. Sorry to cut you off there, like that daytime radio DJ that I've become today. Somebody would like to know, challenge it, and it might be a nice way to end this call because we've got a few new faces and a few people have been around. Ask the question, how do I get started? Where's a great place to start? I mean, this listener clearly wants to get involved in crypto investing, and what's step one? And John also kind of commented that starting right is the most important thing. So can we use the rest of the time giving us a recap, Luca, of a great way to get started?
Well, yeah, to get, I mean, there are two ways. Okay, you either give people your money, or you give something your money, or you give something your time. Okay, so if you give something your time, then you go and do it yourself, and you make mistakes along the way, and sooner, you know, then you get experience. You know, you make mistakes, and then you don't make the same mistake again, so you don't repeat it, or you find, you know, a mentor or somebody that can guide you through the process, and then you can get you through the different steps that need to be taken. I mean, the thing with crypto is that, you know, the one thing that you will hear from everybody is that it is your responsibility. Okay, so there isn't this is a decentralized world that we're talking about. So there will be no customer service to go back to if you make a mistake. You know, if you make a mistake, you might end losing your funds. Okay, as simple as that. But at the same time, there is nobody that can take them from you unless you let them. Okay, so the where to start with is really, you know, this is what we do in a micro school. We take people from step 1 to the point of, you know, how we generate an email address that you can use, you know, where the vulnerabilities come from, where somebody can try to get you funds and how you can avoid it, you know, and then how you set up your accounts online so that they are safe, and what kind of precautions you can take, what's already available out there, what precautions you can take on yourself, on your computer, you know, the way that you access anything online, and then how you buy and sell cryptocurrencies using a centralized exchange, which is, you know, for a beginner is the easiest option, and how you do the same thing using decentralized exchanges and decentralized systems, and how to get to use different parts of the offerings in cryptocurrency. So how do you take part, for example, in a Web 3.0, which is owning content that you produce online and using your decentralized non-custodial wallet to connect to certain websites. So they kind of like it's a certain degree of education, and with each step that you take, you learn a little bit more. Now, you cannot expect to start in crypto and after 3 days doing the most complicated things, you know. And it's kind of like as if when you go to school, you know, you go through different grades, and at each grade you will know a little bit more. And it is a little bit difficult at the moment because there is so much information out there, and you hear from everybody: Facebook, YouTube, you know, your friend, your neighbor, whatever, the person down the park. Everybody will tell you something different. Okay. But what I would say, just take things one step at a time, and take it from there. Okay. I think that Duncan has put the link to a kind of like a micro school they ran earlier on in the year that guides you step by step in what you need to do. And also, as we're here, and I know that there's quite a few people here from the International Academy of Wealth, of which I am now a coach. So there is an event. That is going on in December. I think it's the 15th of December, if I'm not wrong. Billy, just remind me. December the 15th. Yes. So this is the link, and it's a good step to get yourself educated about many different aspects about investing. If you're interested in crypto in particular, then you can do my masterclass, as I said, or contact me directly, and I can give you a few steps. We've got different programs that I am developing, so there is a lot going on in the background. I can talk to anybody who wants to hear more of this call.
And Luca, we'll share some of those automated strategies too on the event around the bots and what have you.
Sure. And as I was saying before, it's something I didn't want to go into this call simply because you need to explain that in detail.
100%.
Yeah. I wouldn't want anybody to jump into it without knowing what they're doing.
Yeah, I agree, mate. Yeah. I agree.
Oh. Okay.
I gave you Luca, I did give you the actual a code there for just for your people here, and also in your subscription on your channel as well. So IAW member, just because of whatever happened earlier tonight. So all lowercase.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just for you, Luca. I don't know where it is. Okay. All right. I don't know where it is. I'm lost.
Use that code.
Oh, I have. Okay, so this is the code. This it's to everybody. Okay, fine. Okay, and what else did I want to mention? Okay, so I think I've pretty much covered everything. I don't know if we have any last minute questions. I'm happy to cover them, or otherwise we
No,
can,
no last minute questions, Luca, but lovely to see so many people in the room. And just to apologise for the few interruptions, we will do everything we can to avoid that happening again. If you've been with us a while, you know that we've never had anything like that before. So it was a bit of a shock for all of us, but hopefully it didn't spoil your enjoyment. And there was nothing that Luca wanted to share with you that you missed because of a few fools. So yeah, thank you. And as I always say, thanks to everyone for joining us, but of course, mostly thanks to Luca for giving us time and his expertise.
As I said before, so if you want the, let me just share my screen for a second, just to where is my, so if you want access to this, then click on that link that I sent you before, and register for the Modern Day Investor Facebook group, which is this one that you can see right now. I'll drop it in the chat before again, and you will receive a copy of this newsletter, okay, which is fresh as of yesterday. Okay.
Thank you very much, everybody, and especially to Luca. I think I'm breaking up a little bit now, aren't I? My Wi-Fi seems to have gone a bit dodgy. But nothing more you want to add, Luca? Then I think we can log off, can't we? And once more, thanks again to everybody, and see you here, same place, same time next week for much more. And good luck through the week with your cryptos, guys.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody, and thank you for coming on the call.